Are you looking for a brand new, powerful gaming laptop capable of playing all the latest titles at the highest resolutions, highest settings, and highest frame rates? If so, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to be looking at the Medion Erazer Beast lineup, now available over at Ebuyer. These are a range of really high-end notebooks with fantastic specs and even better performance. I'll be talking you through the whole unboxing experience, booting this up for the very first time, discussing which one in the range could be best for you, and all that good stuff. Let's do this. For this video, I'll be looking at their 17-inch RTX 3080 Ti design. First impressions are pretty good already. The magnesium alloy chassis design makes it quite lightweight, but also makes it feel fairly well built. It is fairly plastic on the bottom, but on the top, you've got much more of a metal finish and a hinge which spans the whole width of the notebook. Other than that, inside the box it's a pretty simple affair. We've just got their another box which contains our included power adapter to actually plug the notebook in and get it all working. We have of course got a peel. Isn't that satisfying? Which reveals the Erazer logo atop of our 17.3-inch design. Now, the first thing that actually stands out to me aside from build quality is actually how compact and slim this thing is, despite being 17.3 inches. This is just about as large as you can get for a gaming notebook. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen one bigger than 17 inches. That's achieved through a fairly bezel-less design on the top, a small chin on the bottom, and thin bezels either side. And underneath this, we've got another peel. Here we go. Oh no, how do I unpeel it? This is impossible. Wait, go. Yes. No. Oh, so tricky. Huh. Look at that. Wait, there's another one. Yes. Oh, so satisfying. I tell you something, there's certainly no worries about getting this laptop scratch-free. There's peels everywhere. Does look good though. Under the screen, we've got this large keyboard, which is actually a compact full-size layout. This ensures you still get all your dedicated arrow keys, your number pad as well. You just haven't got the spacing in between to obviously make sure you've got plenty of room to type with your fingers and that the keys are a nice full-size form factor. Under this, we've got a glass multi-touch trackpad. Going to be great for general day-to-day use, but I would recommend picking up a wireless gaming mouse to plug into this for any serious gaming sessions. You've got a range of function keys along the top as well, which also allow you to change things like your display brightness, lock the notebook, all that good stuff, as well as a power button and a turbo boost button on the left of that. We'll have to see what that does. Often that may overclock the design or it might crank the fans up, but we'll find out very shortly. The major selling point of this design though is its hardware in spite of its thinness. This has got RTX graphics and an Intel Core CPU inside. Specifically, you've got an i7 chip in this unit, but you can go right up to an i9-12900HK. This uses Intel 12th Gen, which as of the time of filming this, is the very latest CPU architecture. That makes sure you're getting the best performance, the most up-to-date performance from day one. With RTX graphics as well, this unit also has an RTX 3080 Ti GPU, rated at a TGP of 150 watts. What that means is in a mobile design, you're never going to run a 3080 Ti at 300 or 400 watts. It's simply too small of a form factor and it needs too much power to actually deliver. But 150 TGPs for a notebook is pretty good. You can also step down to the 3070 Ti as well, depending on just what kind of options you're after. With 16 gigs of video memory, you can still crank all those textures up to maximum and ensure you're running games at the highest possible quality. You've got two options on the lineup, so the 240 refresh rate is going to be the best for the 3080 Ti, while the 165 is going to be best for the 3070 Ti. Purely because to actually take proper advantage of a high refresh rate, you need the graphical power to deliver enough frame rate to saturate the panel. You've also got plenty of support for memory and storage in this device, with dual M.2 SSD slots up to 2 terabytes, so loads and loads of expandable and upgradable storage capacity. While 16 or 32 gigabytes of RAM comes as standard, it's DDR5 as well, with the most possible bandwidth, the highest data throughput. This thing really pushes the envelope in terms of ticking all the boxes on your hardware and delivering the greatest possible performance. Honestly, very excited to game on this thing. It just looks so good. Erazer by Medion. So exciting. Windows is pre-installed, so we're going to jump in, get some games installed, and go from there. With the setup finished, I'm liking that wallpaper a lot. A really nice touch. Now, one thing that this notebook also includes, which is definitely worth mentioning, is Medion's Control Center, or Medion. I still haven't figured out the pronunciation properly. In here, you can change loads and loads of settings. So, for example, say we want to select the keyboard lighting, and we want to enable the keyboard backlight with different settings. We can do that in the software. We can increase the brightness, we can change through all these different effects, music reactions, rain rainbow waves, drip effects, all sorts of that kind of thing. If we head also back to the homepage, we can also look at performance, and here we can create a game mode for the notebook. You can go through and tweak so many settings on here, from custom fan curves and control to various overclocking settings right in this application. It's almost like a root level control over your PC that you'd only normally ever get in the BIOS, providing loads and loads of flexibility to go ahead and tweak things about. The screen also looks amazing. That 17.3-inch design is awesome. It's got 100% coverage of the sRGB spectrum as well, and a maximum peak brightness of over 300 nits, making this a really vivid, really bright display. There is one final thing I would like to take a look at before we actually go ahead and dive into some performance, and that is of course the I/O. What kind of connectivity you can actually expect from this notebook. So we've got a headphone and mic jack on the left-hand side alongside a super speed USB port. This is USB 3, 10 gigabit for plenty of bandwidth. And then we've also, of course, here got plenty of ventilation and a Kensington lock. If you spin round to the rear of the notebook, we've got a Thunderbolt 4 port, a HDMI, you've got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, which handily folds out, awesome for fast game downloads, LAN parties, and of course, to supplement the included Wi-Fi 6E connection, and our power adapter. Finally, on the right-hand side, we've then got a micro SD card reader, something we're not necessarily used to seeing, and two super speed USB 3 ports. These aren't 10 gigabit, but it's still going to be great for plugging in peripherals, external storage, and that kind of thing. I'm going to go ahead and get some games installed, and I'll rejoin you in just a second to test out performance and see how this thing really stacks up. The first game that we're going to test out is a little bit of Dirt 5. Now we'll be running Dirt 5 at the highest possible settings to see just how far this beast laptop can really push things. I've also turned the fans on the laptop right up using the turbo button just up here to make sure we can extrapolate the most possible performance. If you head to your video options, we're working at high settings across the board on our 1440p Quad HD display, and we're going to use the game's inbuilt benchmark. This is a test that you guys can run at home too if you want to cross-reference these results against what you're currently running, whether that be a laptop, a desktop, etc. In the top corner, we've also got the frame rate as well as our CPU and GPU utilization. My GPU running around about 90% and our CPU on a very similar figure, showing just how well these two components are paired. If you take a look at the frame rate straight off the bat, we're at 87 FPS so far. The game looks visually really, really good actually. Super smooth, and of course we're making the most of having more than 60 Hz on our refresh rate of our display by getting closer to the 100 FPS mark than we would be the 60 mark. Of course, remember you can tune down the resolution and the settings if you like to push that frame rate even further. The game though looks amazing. One of course the Rally Classics Dirt 5 is the latest incarnation with the latest graphics and 100 frames per second or thereabouts. That's 100 in my book in terms of our average so far on Dirt 5. And the results are in. We're at 91 frames per second on average, with a very minimum of 24 and a maximum of 120. The minimum number is always quite scary because you think that looks low, but the 1% low is what we're really after. This gives us the frame rate 99% of the time, what it was above for that vast majority of the test, and that was 79. Our 0.1% lows are also 71, which is also pretty good. I'm happy with how these numbers have turned out, and happy of course as well with how good the game looks. Dirt 5 isn't the only game we tested though. We also jumped into Battlefield 2042 and saw well in excess of that all-important 60 frames per second mark. This was running at the native resolution of the display, where we had a butter-smooth gaming experience that frankly looked fantastic. The particle effects of the game also working amazingly well on our large display, with that really high colour accuracy and really rich, vibrant contrast coming through here so strongly. This notebook really is going to smash through any of the latest titles, and with a couple of GPU options available in the 3070 and 80 Ti, you're sure to not be disappointed. If you'd like to learn more about the entire Medion range, check out the links below. Thanks for tuning in to this Ebuyer video, and as always, we'll see you again soon.